morning, everyone. My name is Sergeant First Class Board Bar, and I'll be giving you a brief on the 7 Army values. On today's agenda, well, I'll be going with my introduction, which I've already done. Again, my name is Sergeant First Class Board Bar. We'll be talking about the classification of this brief. We will go over the 7 Army values in detail and some definitions. I will summarize my brief. I'll conclude it with a quote, and then I'll have any questions from the audience. So, classification. This brief will be unclassified. Anything that you get from this brief, you can take back to your units to do any further training. And any information you get from this brief, you can find on a .mil or on the internet. So, morals, values. What are those to people? What a value is a person's principles and standards on their behavior. A value is what they judge is important in their life. Okay, so what are values to you? What are values to me? It's different. It varies from person to person. Some examples of values is fitness. Especially here in the military, fitness is a big value for some people. They wake up, they go to the gym. During the day, when they have time, they do some push-ups because fitness is very important. And before they go to bed, they run a couple miles because fitness is important to them. It's one of the core values in their life. Like myself, good humor. Good humor is very important to me. I have to be able to laugh. I have to be able to joke about things because it helps me deal with stress. So humor could be a very good value to you because, again, it helps with stress. And then honesty. Honesty is a good value to have because you don't want to be known as the person that isn't honest. You don't want to be known as the person that lies about everything. And you don't want to be lied to. So honesty is a good value because it keeps basically people from lying to each other. So the 7 Army values, though. The 7 Army values are the values that the Army deemed important enough to push down to even the youngest soldier. Okay, the 7 Army values is leadership is the acronym. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Like I said, the acronym is leadership. You can tell up here on my slides that each letter of each one of these values is highlighted in red, and the acronym is leadership. So please remember that because it's going to help you and it's going to help your soldiers understand and remember what the 7 Army values are. So start off the L in leadership, which is loyalty. Bearing true faith and allegiance to the Constitution, to the Army, your unit, and most importantly, to other soldiers. You have to be loyal, okay? Without loyalty, there is no cohesion. Without no cohesion, your companies and your units will fall apart. Okay, with no loyalty, your training will be affected, and then sooner or later, the morale of the soldier will drop. So I will be loyal to those with whom I serve, seniors, peers, and subordinates alike. That might sound familiar to you. Where's that from? That's from the Creed of the Non-Commissioned Officer. And I will be referring back to the Creed of Non-Commissioned Officer many times in my brief because the Creed of the Non-Commissioned Officer was built upon the 7 Army values. So next is the D in leadership in the 7 Army values, which is duty. Fulfilling your obligation. What does that mean, obligation? Obligation is doing something you don't always want to do, but you have to do it. So fulfilling your obligation is what duty is. Your duty is to go down to the motor pool and check on your soldiers to make sure he or she is doing command maintenance. It is your duty to walk the barracks during staff duty. Okay, so fulfilling your obligation is basically doing what you are told even though it's raining outside, even though that it's going to take 12 hours. It is your duty to do it. I will accomplish the mission and the welfare of my soldiers. That is your duty as an NCO, to accomplish that mission and the welfare of your soldiers, making sure your soldiers are taken care of before anything else. Next is the R in leadership, which is respect. Treating others like you want to be treated, okay? It's the golden rule. Everyone knows, all parents have said it. Respect your elders. Say yes, sir. Say yes, ma'am. So there's position in the Army and then there's rank. You have to respect both of them. If you have a team leader that you don't respect because he or she lives their life a different way than you do, you might not respect that person. But you do have to respect them because they're in a team leader position or they're an E5, a sergeant, a non-commissioned officer. You have to respect the rank and you have to respect the person. I will earn their respect as well as my soldiers. So respect is very important when it comes to the military. It's very important in the United States Army. So next is the S, selfless service. Putting your soldiers' your well-being, your welfare before the unit, the Army, and your subordinates, your own welfare. So you want to go home, you want to rest because you had a long day. But when your soldiers come to you and ask you if you could talk to him or her because they're having issues with their family, you have to call your wife, you have to call your kids, you have to call your husband, your spouse, and say, I'm sorry, it's going to be a little bit later today because I gotta take care of this issue. I know my soldiers, and I will always place their needs above my own. That is selfless service. Okay, so selfless service is taking care of your soldiers no matter what. Next is the H in leadership, which is honor. Living up to the Army values. The Army values is what we've been talking about. Okay, the honor is everything in one. Okay, which is the time-honored core, which is known as the backbone of the Army. Create a non-commissioned officer again. As NCOs, you should be honored to wear this uniform. You should be honored to serve your country. You should be honored to serve your soldiers. So just live up the Army values. Have respect, have loyalty. Do your duty as a soldier. Next is integrity. Integrity is doing what is right, legally and morally, even when there's no one around. I will be fair and impartial when recommending both awards and punishments. What does that mean? What that means is integrity. If you have a good soldier and he or she does something wrong, is an integrity check to make sure that soldier gets punished accordingly. It's not you sweeping it under the rug. It's not just a little chat here and there, but it is an integrity check to make sure he or she gets punished accordingly. And same thing on the other hand, giving awards. There's a soldier that isn't the best soldier in the world, but he or she does something that deems writing an award. Is an integrity check to make sure that you write that award even though you think that's a bad soldier. So integrity checks and integrity violations is very, very important. In your NCOER is a block on there which is character. If you have an integrity violation, your leaders could put in there integrity violation, and that could be a career killer. So please remember that. And last but not least, personal courage. Personal courage is summed up very well by Nelson Mandela. He says that I'll learn that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over fear. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers fear itself. Okay? So think to yourself what personal courage is. Is personal courage going to a war zone, going to a combat zone and kicking that door down, or finding that IED, or walking that route without being afraid? Yes, it is. But personal courage is also standing up to your leadership when he or she is doing something wrong. If your squad leader comes up to you and tells you to do something wrong, It is personal courage to stand up to him or her to say, I'm sorry, Sergeant, I don't believe that is right to do. That's personal courage. So in summary, we talked about the 7 Army values. We talked about respect. We talked about duty. We talked about integrity, doing what is right when no one is around. Okay, we talked about the acronym leadership, LDR, SHIP, leadership. It helps you and it helps your soldiers remember what the 7 Army values is. So in conclusion, I will leave you with this quote. What this quote is basically saying is live the Army values. Don't just preach it. Don't just do a presentation on it and then leave the door and then have an integrity violation. Live the Army values every single day. Is there any questions for myself? Again, my name is Sergeant First Class Board Bar, and this was the 7 Army values. Thank you.